Welcome everyone. I'm Jennifer Fitzgerald here representing Learngistics, a company that expertly manages and delivers corporate learning experiences from leadership workshops to nationwide training events and virtual learning sessions. You can find out more about us at learngistics.com. Today I'm here to introduce Carroll Blair, who will be presenting a session titled Practical Communication Skills to Build Civility in the Workplace. Carroll has 20 years of experience working to create safe and inclusive learning environments for participants at all levels of an organization. Her experience includes working in the nonprofit, corporate, financial, and municipal environments. This includes building and delivering adult education courses via numerous modalities for onboarding, service excellence, change management, diversity and anti-bias awareness education, team building, and managerial skill development. One of her greatest rewards has been providing hours of career and development coaching to new graduates and seasoned managers alike. So I'm going to turn it over to the technical producer at this point.
Wow. Well, thank you very much. You prefer Jen, so I'm going to call you Jen. Thank you, Jen. And thank you all for joining us today. I'm going to wave because I want you to feel included. And Robin, oh my gosh, thank you to you. You've really had to navigate a change. And as well as my fellow presenters, Tim, gosh, you did very well. And I have to say, Scarf, Alexandra, is one of my favorites. So let's get started. We're going to talk about practical communication skills to build civility in the workplace. And we've had some pretty serious examples of lack of civility already today. So we know what we're talking about. So I'm going to start off. I'm not doing Mentimeter. Maybe I should do that next time. I'm going with polls, but I'm going to read this because there are audio learners out there, and then Robin's going to click on the poll for you, or at the same time. Where did you learn your manners? Did you learn it at home at the kitchen table? Maybe my grandmother's house or your grandmother's house. Friends. What about reality TV? Or on the job? So let's see what, so your first answer, not multiple answers. So I encourage as many of you who want to reveal yourself, no names are shown. So right now it looks like home at the kitchen table is the, oh, we're not sharing yet, are we? There we go. So it looks like at home, home at the kitchen table. So that's where I learned not to eat with my elbows on the table. Certainly it's endless what I learned from my grandmother. I'm just going to close this so I don't see it. Friends, sure. I've learned a few things from friends as well. I'm not going to say I've learned anything to do with civility from reality TV. I don't think that's the place for us to go. And on the job, absolutely. And I'm actually going to use a couple of those examples. So let's keep moving. So what is civility? Civility in the workplace is being courteous, being respectful and considerate behavior from all employees towards all employees. And I just point out that whether you are the president of the organization or whether you're working in the mailroom, you are all employees. So it doesn't matter what level you're at. Civility should be expected at all levels, as well as your clients and the public. Civility fosters a welcoming, safe, and inclusive environment. So I'm not going to do this as a poll, but as a reflective question, and today's maybe a good day for it. If you look honestly at yourself, try always to be respectful. Are you mostly respectful? Maybe it depends on the day. somebody's trying to hack your system, you're not feeling so respectful. Nope, I don't give a hoot. Tell me anything you want, but it's not going to be today. So something to think about to get us going this afternoon. Oh, sorry, I wasn't listening. Right? Nice. Not what any of us wants when we're talking about civility. And that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about how people respond to you. Imagine how you feel when you hear this. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Now, I know that we're still allowed to do our emojis, right, on the screen. So what do you think? Oh, I have a hand up on that one. Yeah. Or maybe it's a question. And I want to say that I am listening. So please, please ask your questions because it makes it a whole heck of a lot more interesting for me, for you. So yes, I am listening. So communications comes in many forms. You know this, your body language, your paraverbal, your words and vocabulary. So your body language in person, all the stats show, can be upwards of 75 to 80%. So if I go like this, hey, have a nice day. I hope things are going well. What did I tell you? It didn't matter what I said. It's how I behaved. Your body language is number one. Your paraverbal or your tone of voice. So paraverbal is a number of things, and I tend to use it because that's the kind of presenter I am. When someone calls you and you immediately hear their voice, typically you know, is everything okay? Tone of voice is critical on the phone. And I have a hand up, so I know someone's gonna, or maybe they're agreeing with me. I'll leave it at that. Um, virtually, your tone of voice is just as important. And words and vocabulary. So it's interesting because I'm going to make a leap that many people in this room are very well educated. There's lots of designations, whether it's project management, change management, university degrees. And so we pride ourselves, as do I, on our words and our vocabulary. However, having said that, and I think Tim covered this a little bit, our words and our vocabulary can actually alienate people, particularly in writing. Are we able to get rid of that hand? I don't know. It's okay, but it's there. I'm
Carol,
going to take it as
it's your hand.
it's
Because
my hand. How is that
because you
even possible?
because you put your hand up when you were talking.
Oh, how do I take it down? That's so interesting because I
If
did
you
not
go
raise my
if you
hand.
go to the bottom where it says raise hand, if you hover over there, there should be an option to remove your raised hand.
Okay, well, I'm just going to ignore it. Hopefully the moderator can lower it for me. All right, let's get back on track. So words and vocabulary. So words and vocabulary are very good examples of what can bring you in to the conversation or alienate you from the conversation. So for example, acronyms and jargon. I have been in meetings, full boardrooms full of people, and I'm the one, of course, to ask, well, what does acronym mean? And everyone in the group going, I don't know. Well, we've always used it. I think it's this group. So it ends up being a bit of a laugh, but it's a great example of how it can alienate people. And I think we want people to come into the conversation, not stay out of the conversation. Communication in writing, the interesting thing, talking about brain science, is no matter how lovely you write something, we tend to read things negatively. And so my suggestion is if you've gone through 2 emails, if you're already at 3 and what does this mean? I don't understand. School and pick up the phone. Here's a good slide. What does communication look like? What does it sound like? Even without audio, we can feel how this sounds like. And how does it feel? Has anyone ever been in this situation? I worked with someone who used to point his finger at me all the time. I want to be careful I don't click off the hand going up again. It was really, really rude. Well, Carol, you can't understand that because and it's like, well, I'd like to understand. Can you please lower your finger? How are you communicating with your employees, with each other? So then we have another example. I can hear your smile. Now, how do you feel or think or wonder when you look at this photograph? Many contact centers will have mirrors up so that people can see themselves talking. I can hear your smile. And if we want to get practical about that, what are we saying to people on the phone? Are we, oh, I'm putting you on hold? We're not even telling them you're putting them on hold. Would you mind if I put you on hold? Good manners. This week I called a restaurant. They literally answered the phone, hi. It was more like, hi. And I said, hi, is this Sunset Grill? I didn't go into a whole spiel about how they should answer the phone with their name. And they were like, oh, yeah, not how can I help you? So if we're talking about civility and communications, here's a couple of good practical examples, right? These are things that people can learn and be demonstrated. Okay. Now and then. So when I was preparing for this, part of the background was that people feel very alienated. What has happened to civility? Did it always used to be this way? So I put together this slide and I think about now. So now is on the left side of your screen. This is where we are now, but where were we then? So if we think about cell phones, okay, you're going to slide in. Beautiful. We used to have a house phone or an office phone where a receptionist picked it up and said, hello, this is how may I help you? And you felt connected. With a house phone, you used to talk to other members of the family. Now everybody's independent, separate. We can take our tablet and go anywhere we want. The PC, using the household example again, we used to know what the kids were looking at. Ebooks and audiobooks. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. What I'm talking about is how did we move from being a civil society to one that's so independent that we don't think about our neighbors. We don't meet at the library. We don't get recommendations. Some people don't. I don't like blanket statements, but you can see how it has changed. We're not interacting as much with other people. The newspaper. We used to get a break from the news. Now there's the doom scrolling, 24-hour news cycle. Texting, cards and letters. Lots of people don't send them anymore. I can tell you when one is received, people are always, wow, that was really nice because it's so unusual. Apps. I'm not sure if you're supposed to swipe left or swipe right. I sincerely don't know. But culturally, people used to meet each other through friends and through family. Networking would count for that as well. I call it skip the work, skip the dishes, family recipes. This is why industries where the trades, for instance, are doing so well because they are delivering hands-on, in-person services and instant gratification. Wow. We used to have to wait. We used to have to wait for a parcel. We used to have to wait for a response. So again, I'm not suggesting one is all bad and one is all good. What I'm suggesting is that it has really morphed who we are as a society. So this is kind of fun. And if you were allowed, but you're not allowed to mark up the screen, I would have you highlight, and maybe you can throw in the chat. Are there words here that jump out at you? Are they alien from each other? Is being electronic alien from kindness? Is being on WhatsApp no longer part of being individual, or is it part of being a group? What can we see on the chat here? Let's see what we've got on the chat. Trust, kindness, politeness. Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. Alone together. So I remember when this expression came out, it really followed Facebook, and it really hit me. So when you think about alone together, it is a little bit of an oxymoron or ironic. And Sherry Turkle from MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, she wrote a book called Why We Expect More from Technology and Less from Each Other. So if we're talking about civility in the workplace, do we want to expect less from each other? Do we want technology to do all of our human interacting? Do we want to be alone together? So more of my somewhat before and after, but this is me versus us. So the way I see it is if we're talking about all those independent activities, whether it's the cell phone versus the office phone, the newspaper versus, the online scrolling, have we moved from transactional, or do we want, come on, you can do it. Do we really want relational? Do we want relational with our workmates? One way, I win. It's done. It's all over. I don't need to talk to you anymore. Or do we want two-way? Do we want to be with this person on a future project? Do we want to be able to benefit from someone's expertise? Are we burning bridges? Alone together, meaningful long-term relationships. This is a part of emotional intelligence. Lunchables, as opposed to a team lunch. Friend of mine who returned to the office, post-COVID, it's still there. They have lunch together as a team once a week when they go into the office. They don't talk about work, and they have a very strong working relationship. E-learning versus in-person workshops. I have produced lots of e-learning. I'm not anti-e-learning. What I'm trying to do is show a trend. E-learning is done individually. Does it resonate with people as opposed to in-person workshops? They serve different purposes, and I believe in a blend, but you can see the difference between transactional and relational. Hidden and visible. Are you hidden? Are the people who were the hackers today hidden? Are they hiding behind their camera? Transactional, are there the same rules? What about etiquette? There's a word for you. And anonymity versus personal responsibility. Any comments on this? I'm gonna just pop open the chat and see if there's anything. Ethics, yeah, ethics. That's a perfect word for this. Great, thank you. This is kind of fun. So for those of people who are fairly local, this is a street scene from Toronto. And I put it in the rules of the road. So if we talk about ethics and we talk about etiquette, what are the rules of the road? So in the office or online, it might be how we communicate with each other. It might be meetings. In this picture, again, if you're allowed to mark it up, you can see things like there's a stoplight. We know when it's red, we're supposed to stop. Yellow, slow down. Oh, look, no turning left. We have 40 kilometers. Pedestrians, they're staying within the lines. So there is etiquette. There are rules. Are there fewer rules now in this new world that we're living in? Do we follow the speed limit? Do we turn? Do we stop? Do we wave at people? The house is on fire. So I have a story about this. My house has not been on fire. But what I'd like to ask, and I really encourage you to put in the chat, when is it okay to yell at work? Is there a time that it's okay to yell at work? Right on. Okay, thanks for the right on. When the office is on fire, okay. When else is it okay to yell? We get someone's attention from afar, and maybe that's where the paraverbal comes in. Hello, as opposed to hello, right? To get someone's attention. Well, I can tell you that I was launching a webinar. I was an employee, and it wasn't my manager, it was the manager I was working with to do this launch. And the technology was not working. We've seen some of that today. And it was about 30 seconds before, and it wasn't going to work. Well, I can tell you this person screamed at me, and I mean screamed in my ear, other people around, small office, and used the F word. And I don't know how I did it, but I went into a Zen mode and just kept dealing with it, and we got it to launch. I know her name. I will never respect her. And she didn't apologize. The house was not on fire. So, this is really the theme for today. Treat people the way we wish to be treated. If we want to get respect, we have to give respect. And I know it seems so obvious. It does seem to be something that we've drifted away from, we as a society. I'm not saying any of you online here today. So, the cost of incivility. Civility costs nothing, and it buys everything. So, Mary Wortley Montagu wrote this in the 1700s. Civility costs nothing. Oh, thanks for the hearts, Jen. That's nice. I like that. But it buys everything. It buys all of those relational long-term things that we're looking for. Ah, pay now or pay later. A friend of mine who was the international project manager for Y2K year 2000. She had to manage, it was unbelievable. Her time chart went across like a whole room. It was amazing to check it out. And she says, you pay now or you pay later. And she was talking about communications and follow up. So call and tell me it's not going to work, but call me. So we need to invest. Just like civility costs nothing, we need to invest. So I threw this up here for meetings. So virtual or in person. Wellness breaks. We are humans. We need breaks. Camera on. I really encourage virtual meetings, virtual classes, camera on. Have an agenda. Have minutes. Let people know what's going on. And I believe Tim spoke to that as well. Inclusive, bias-free language. If you don't know if it's the right thing to say, find out. Don't be afraid, find out. Fair participation. I'm going to talk some more about that. And listening to understand. That cannot be overstated. It's one of the biggest challenges we have as humans. So the cost of incivility. Well, if civility is a good thing, what's the cost of incivility? 80% of employees lose time worrying about rude treatment. I experienced it. I stopped worrying about it, but I haven't forgotten it. 50% reduce work effort after incivility. Well, think about, how do you feel after something like that? Teams lose collaboration and innovation. Boy, if we don't need collaboration and innovation now, what do we need? Negative culture spreads quickly. It's not kept secret. Comments on glass floor. What is your brand? People will know your brand. So I got a kick out of this slide. Ideas, brainstorming or brain writing. Well, we all like to think that we are great at brainstorming. Yes, everybody give ideas. Let's hear from everybody. But I'm not sure that's what happens because in brainstorming, after about 2 ideas, what happens? Oh, we tried that and it didn't work. Or, oh, we can't do that again. Or even worse, that's a stupid idea. So, who was the fellow? Bennett Roebuck came up with this in 1968 and it has resurfaced and it's called brain writing. And I strongly encourage this if you want to create an inclusive environment, virtually or in person. So everybody has a sticky note. And I invite you to all write 1, 2, or 3 ideas about what we're trying to do. And then everyone, one person at a time, not the loudest voice in the room, not the most entertaining voice in the room, or the most senior voice in the room, gets to share their idea. And even better, if you really want to include those people who are more introverted, more reflective, want some time to think about it, send it out on that agenda beforehand and say, we're going to talk about this. Please come with your ideas. And of course, we want to listen to those ideas and reward those ideas. The companies that do best are not the ones that are knocking down people's ideas. So these are 3 winning approaches, and this came from a lot of sticky notes from the Four Seasons Hotel. I heard this probably more than 20 years ago when I was starting out in my career, and that's the reason I added it today, because it has always stuck with me. First and foremost, treat others as you wish to be treated. Empower your employees. Give them discretionary power. So we're all probably familiar with the expression responsibility without authority. So people get in trouble because they were responsible, but they weren't given authority to fix the situation, to top up the coffee, to provide the umbrella, to notify the vendor, whatever it is, whatever example you want to use. Give them discretionary power and reward them for it. Personalize the service. This involves the listening to hear. If we want to make it right, can't always be personalized, of course, but if we want to make it right with our customers, if we want to have a good rapport with our employees, listen, personalize the service. Smile, the universal welcome. So this is bar none the most welcoming, most important thing to do to welcome people. We've all been places where we don't get the smile. Providing feedback. So I threw providing feedback in because it is one of the biggest challenges that people who are new to supervision, new to management, and I'm going to tell you, people at the top of the house are just as nervous and uncomfortable providing feedback. If ever there is a place to invest, provide training, provide learning and development, it is on the people side of giving feedback. The expression keep people whole is something that I learned from one of my managers in HR. And whether you're doing an interview, whether you're giving feedback, whether you're introducing someone, we don't need to knock them down. We don't need to make people look silly. Keep people whole. We want to be kept whole. All right, here's the second poll. And in this one, you get to click all that apply. And I hope all of you are able to participate. So most days, I greet others daily, wherever you are. I listen without interrupting. I avoid gossip and exclusion. I give private construction feedback. Show appreciation and respect shared spaces. Okay. I think can we show this now? So hopefully everybody can see this. So greeting others daily. I have actually worked with senior people who were given that advice. Listen without interrupting. Most difficult skill humans have. Avoid gossip and exclusion. Um, People will share with you if they know it's not going to be shared with others. Showing appreciation. I'm going to talk more about that, and respecting shared spaces. Thank you. Okay. Oh yes, emotional intelligence. So I've touched on that. Don't let anyone ruin your day. It's your day. Ruin it yourself. I love this. I got this in a gift shop in Lakefield this summer, and I thought it said it perfectly. So, who are you bringing to work? Who are you today? Do you take your frustrations to work with you? Are you able to manage? Do they translate into behavior you and your team can be proud of? So when I was looking for graphics, I have to tell you there are lots with road rage, and not and a few where the gesticulation is, well, other fingers. I decided not to be rude and use this one, but the whole point being is, who are you bringing? Are you bringing your better self to work? Um, are people along for the ride, and do they want to be there? Who are you when no one's looking? So we talk about shared spaces. We talk about the individual versus the community, the individual versus the team. This is off my neighbor's lawn. So did you hear the one about what is your brand? So when we're talking about gossip in a work environment, this is horrible. I believe it was Alexandra who talked about emotional pain is the same as physical pain in our mind. It hurts us. Um, this should not be tolerated. It's really not nice. Managers, individuals, people who are new to the organization. So think about what we do in these situations. And we compare it with this one. So welcome aboard. So onboarding. The studies show that when someone is onboarded, when they are made to feel welcome, and that typically starts before you come into an office. Let's just say it's your first day in the office. I can't tell you the number of people who have told me, oh, but the manager wasn't there. I got there and someone else greeted me. That's really nice, but they didn't bother to show up. I'm not talking about they're sick at home with a small child. It's just they decided not to make it. Make an effort. If we want to communicate civility, if we want people to feel welcome, welcome them. Be there in person. There's no need to pass along those responsibilities. Here's another one, another human interaction about shared spaces. So whether they're shared restrooms, whether they have one symbol on them or the other, whatever happened to knocking, whether it's, knocking on the door of someone you're coming in or knocking in the shared facilities. Not unlike the car photo, there were photos where people were actually being caught unawares. But again, I didn't want to use that. I'm just going to check my chat, see if there's any questions. Oh, stay for my next Weber. It's all about giving feedback. Oh, well, there you go. Perfect. Good. So you do you, we do us. I have to tell you, this expression, you do you, I find really disheartening. I find it very alienating. And I understand it's not always meant that way. It's meant, oh, you know what? Um, you do it however you'd like to do it. That's fabulous. But the way I find it's used, you do you, is exclusionary. You do you, I'm over here. As opposed to team building, we do us. And we know the benefits of team building. We know the benefits of getting along. Somebody posted the word trust earlier. If we want to work together, if we want to build an organization, we want to get through that project, building trust. Let me see if there's anything else in chat here. No, I think we've got it all now. Empathy. So, talking about emotional intelligence and talking about etiquette and good manners, this is a strong picture, and I chose it on purpose. As a learning and development person, I always prided myself on having full classes. I went to great lengths to make sure everybody attended and that they were there for a purpose. And when someone missed a class, I would follow up with them. So this was January after the holidays, and we'll call him Sam. I said, Sam, you missed the class. Is everything okay? And he said, no. I had two family members pass away over the holidays. Well, of course, I was taken aback and I was like, I am so sorry to hear that. Now, normally a manager would have called me and said, Sam won't be able to attend. I am not asking anybody to break confidentiality. But I think what was so disheartening about this situation is I then wrote a nice card. I can't remember if I gave him something, but I did deliver a card, and he called me crying, and he said, "Thank you so much." Not even his own manager had acknowledged that he had lost two family members. So, if we want to talk about communication and civility in the workplace, I think that we need to talk about how we treat each other. Okay, so I don't know what you think about this, but when I look at it, to me, it is bleak. It and that's why I'm so happy Jen and Robin are on for me, particularly as an extrovert, but also as an educator, to see people's face. And so I truly, truly ask that, think about what you bring to the table. Are you bringing your whole person? As opposed to this one, where people feel included, people feel welcome, and frankly, they're happy to see each other. So, of course, there's times we need to go off camera. We're running to deal with a small child, or, I'm going to blow our nose. Not everybody needs to see that. But I strongly encourage, if it's civility that we want in the workplace, feel the difference of being on camera. Thank you. So I did say thank you earlier, but I am going to say thank you again to Jen for her introduction, to Robin for navigating, oh my gosh, today's technology. And I also want to thank Alana. I believe she's probably moderating on the other channel, for providing me with all the slides. So thank you is a funny thing. Um, the higher up people go in an organization, the less thank yous they get. I guess there's the idea that, well, they're being paid really well, they have the nice office or title. But the fact is, as humans, we all need recognition. And thank you is the simplest way to do that. The other half of that is how we say you're welcome. So this is something that I teach in customer service, and I notice the difference wherever I go. So I've said, thank you. I really appreciate the job you've done for me. No problem. Well, if we want to talk about brain science, no and problem are both negative. And I think, well, was I a problem, or no, you didn't really want to help me? I think taking pride in our communication and saying, you are most welcome, or it was my pleasure. Thank you. I hope you come back again. So these are things that, you can set standards in your organization. And you can also practice it yourself. This is Isidore Sharp. He is the founder and chairman of the Four Seasons. And normally I wouldn't promote companies, and that's not really what I'm doing. But as I said, it was over 20 years ago that I heard um, his philosophy. The reason for our success is no secret. It comes down to a single principle that transcends time and geography, religion, and culture. It's the golden rule, the simple idea that if you treat people well, the way you would like to be treated, they will do the same. So just to wrap up quickly, do I have a few minutes, Robin? Just want
You
to.
do, yes.
Okay. So here's one of those practical lists: managers and leaders, responsibilities. And leaders, all of us are leaders, whether you're an independent contributor, whether you're from outside an organization, you're the PM stepping in with the team, everybody. Managers are a little different because they do provide performance reviews and direction, but I think it applies to everybody. What can you do? Model civility and empathy consistently, not for that person and not for this. Recognize and reward respect. So if somebody does something, emulate it, point it out, role model it, intervene early in conflict, set the standards. Don't put up with the whispering behind the scenes. Encourage open dialogue. Practice the brainwriting. Provide communications training. Yes, I am promoting that. Set norms for your meetings. Do you have an agenda? Are you giving everybody airspace? Recognize contributions. Say thank you. Now, we know, depending on the person, they would like a parade every week. And then other people want a quiet thank you on the side. Ask them, how do you like to be recognized? And of course, lead by example. So what are the benefits of civility? We've heard what the downside of not being civil is: greater trust and collaboration in your present and future project teams. We got along great. We did a great project. I know we can do it again. People want to come back. Increased innovation, better morale and retention. Stronger client relationships. Your clients know what's going on, whether people are getting along or not. Because if they're not hearing it's good and they're not seeing it's good, pride in your workplace culture, your brand, your individual brand, your team's brand, your organization's brand. Strategic thinking is a team sport. I'm not sure what this photo looks like, but it is a turnstile at Yonge and Eglinton. I was there a couple of weeks ago and I was on a lunch break and I thought, wow, they're celebrating and making people feel welcome. So you might be having a bad day or what have you, but I thought it was really lovely. So lots of organizations have their ethics and their goals and their vision on the wall, but are they living it? Are they representing it? And I thought this was kind of a fun, nice way to say, welcome. Are there any comments? I keep checking my chat. Anything
Carroll,
anybody wants to?
Oh,
Yeah,
there are no questions in the chat right now, but we can give this opportunity to anybody, any audience members who would like to put a question into the chat. You can do that now.
absolutely. Please do. It's good for you as well as for me. And while we're waiting for that, this is a little bit tongue in cheek, as it is, when you're opening up and thinking about putting together a presentation. I heard this author on CBC being interviewed, and the pendulum swings. So the pendulum really has swung from everybody knew the rules, everybody followed the rules, or most people did, as far as civility, getting along, community environment, to maybe not so much. for lots of reasons. I think about swearing. There never used to be swearing on TV, and swearing, has it made its way into the workplace? Is it appropriate? So this book, Don't Be Yourself, Why Authenticity is Overrated. So it is a bit tongue-in-cheek, but it's talking about how it's a little bit of the, we've gone to you do you, as opposed to, well, maybe there's somewhere in the middle because we are a community. How should we be acting when we are around other people? Should there be some social harmony? I'm not sitting here in my pajamas with my hair all up a mess, right? So yeah, I am myself, but I am making an effort, and I think it's worth the effort. So this is kind of a fun resource. What will you do differently? Every day you have an opportunity to decide how you will behave and the impact you will have on others. So I want to say thank you.